everyone. Welcome to another episode of the CX Chat Show. Today, we have Rashid Khan amongst us, the co-founder and chief product officer at Elo.ai. The COVID-19 pandemic has altered the way we work, interact, behave, respond, both to humans and to the businesses. Now, these changes have driven businesses to rapidly adopt digital technologies. The pandemic has been a catalyst in fast-tracking technology adoption and innovation, and particularly technologies which directly impacts customer interactions. And what we have seen is conversational AI and chatbot are one such technology which has made a lot of significant impacts in the businesses as well as on customers. Elo.ai has been an innovator in this space. Elo.ai is the world's leading conversational AI and CX automation platform, recognized by Gartner, IDC, and G2 Crowd as a leader and innovator. The platform is trusted across 50 plus countries by more than 1,000 enterprises, including Domino's, Sephora, Hyundai, Carrefour, Kuwait Food Company, Choi Trams, just to name a few. On today's episode, we have Rashid, again, co-founder and chief product officer. Rashid, absolute pleasure to have you on this episode of the CX Chat Show. Welcome. Before we dive into the actual chat, I would want you to say a couple of sentences apart from being the co-founder and wearing the hat of the chief product officer. Maybe a 2-sentence to our audience about yourself.
Thanks a lot, Sarfaraz. It's great being on your show, and we've been following this space for quite a while. So a bit about me. I'm an engineer who turned into a product person, and over the course of last 6 years, I've been building Elo.ai, and I've gone really deep into the space of how we as consumers interact with businesses. That fascinates me quite a lot. I also wrote one of the early books on chatbots with Springer Press called Build Better Chatbots. So authored that, and primarily really interested in solving this whole CX problem as we see today and as we acknowledge as an industry, where we feel that the interaction between end consumers and businesses is broken. And we feel we are bringing a novel approach in solving some of those problems for our customers today. Happy to dive deep into some of your questions and go from there, Sarfaraz.
Thank you so much for that intro. First time we're having an author on the CX Chat Show, so it's nice pleasure speaking to an author. So thanks for taking time and getting yourself to be with us. Rashid, what we have been seeing is the pandemic has brought in a lot of change amongst the customers and with the organizations. We are seeing companies are reinventing and re-strategizing their CX ambitions. So how do you see this whole reinventing and re-strategizing happening, Rashid?
Yeah, I think since the last 1.5 to 2 years, from the time we were hit with the pandemic, there definitely has been a lot of change in terms of how we as consumers interact with businesses. And starting off with when everything went online, so we saw a big wave of consumers interacting with businesses there, and that kind of got accelerated over the last 2 years. And the second aspect which we also saw was a lot of newer brands are coming up, which are more focused on consumers, with the whole D2C segment forming across different parts of the globe. India is definitely leading that race, but we also see a lot of D2C brands coming in the US and Europe. I think as large enterprises and as any business, we have seen a big shift in the amount and in the amount of time being spent by consumers on digital assets. So across everyone, we have seen the consumer time on the website, mobile apps go higher, and a derivative of that also has been the support volumes and the query volumes for each industry has gone really high. more and more consumers are reaching out, creating tickets, calling on the contact center, trying to chat. So one of the big shifts which we saw was largely to capture that surge. Automation became a key driver for most of these enterprises, right? And over the last 2 years, we've seen the adoption and the growth of chat and voice bots across various different industries for solving very different use cases. So as a part of CX re-strategizing, one big flavor for us across industries was automation, where every enterprise wanted to bring some flavor of it across their channels to improve scalability. The second big trend which we have seen is around omni-channel, right? So as consumers spend more time on the internet, there definitely is a dedicated time which comes on the customer brand sites, which would be the website or the mobile apps. But we also have seen some new age channels like WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, Twitter, kind of take off in a very big way over the last few years. So, as I reflect back, the two major things which just stood out for me across brands, one was automation, and second is the whole omni-channel strategy, which I've seen our customers kind of adopt to re-strategize, what would the next few years of CX would look like.
I mean, that's quite a lot of insight what you have shared, the amount of time that is being spent by customers on digital assets. And I think that's something which most of our guests have been really stressing upon. And especially with the ZenX kind of people, it's always been the digital assets that they go on for any kind of a support mechanism. Now, having said about digital assets, what we have also witnessed is technology has been evolving. So are the customers. Now, whereas the smallest of the smallest personalized gestures that organizations tend to do, it could be a very simple message of happy birthday wishing you, or probably a message on your anniversary. Now, these small personalized behavioral changes has significantly impacted consumer behavior on the larger spectrum. Now, how do you see AI playing a crucial role in the world of hyper-personalization of experiences, Rashid?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Sarfaraz. So as I think more about it, what has COVID and the whole pandemic done is that it has leveled the playing field for everyone. For someone who runs a big retailer across a country, or someone who is a small mom and pop store in some part of the country. I think it has level played the playing field there, right? And as a way of differentiation, right, something which was inaccessible to most smaller brands or some of the developing brands was this whole idea of personalization, right? Because I think with the actual footfalls and the whole offline interaction model, the bigger brands had a big leverage on the personalization aspect because they had access to that data. Right, with everything going online, as companies started thinking about the strategy of catering to them, personalization became one of the biggest differentiation aspect, right? And as you rightly pointed out, the example over there today, most brands we feel should be doing that. We don't do it so often. Let's say wishing us on our birthday, right? And it's just a small gesture, but it goes a long way in building the whole loyalty aspect with a brand. And in India, one of the brands which I'm really happy about, which I love interacting with, is American Express. Their whole customer experience is at another level, and just they have invested a lot on this whole personalization piece, right? Now, with AI coming in, one of the biggest problems with personalization is how do you do it at scale, right? And when you go into the large enterprises where data is siloed across different organizations, from sales to marketing to customer support, building those personalization engines has always been a very daunting task. With the CX team needing to take that incentive and then driving it. Now, essentially, with AI coming in and with tools like Yellow and others in the market, the whole aspect of personalization and reaching out to the consumers at the right time, I think that has become easier to some extent. And what we see essentially as a wave of going forward is with brands having more access to tools like this, like Hello, and being able to do personalization scale. I think the whole CX piece in terms of how companies view it and how consumers experience it is going to change drastically, right? And one of the examples which we see is largely on just WhatsApp being enabled, right? WhatsApp being enabled across brands has created a big impact for personalization.
True.
We all know today the SMS open rates are very, very less, right? So while one of the biggest ways for business to engage with users is through SMS, but most consumers don't even open their SMS and see what is coming on, right? Now with brands trying to leverage WhatsApp as a channel, I think we are seeing a massive success there. And that coupled with hyper personalization, where you're trying to delight the end consumer at every interaction, I think it's going to be a big game changer in the way CX is done moving forward.
I mean, the last bit is what I really liked, being a game changer. So that is what we are all looking up at, and Elo.ai being part of that game-changing revolution. I'm sure it's a long way to go. Another interesting thing which you did share is these hyper personalizations indirectly creates a more loyal consumer to your brand. So that is something which we have been witnessing and which we have been seeing as well. Now, what we have also been witnessing, and this is from an organization's perspective, what I'm talking about, there is a myth that bots will replace humans. But I guess that is never going to happen, okay, because I don't think humans can be replaced at all. But the future, what I see personally, is a balance between humans and AI interactions or chatbot interactions. Now, do you see a perfect relationship being formed between organizations, chatbots, AIs, as well as human interactions? Do you see a perfect, a synchronization happening, Rashid?
Yeah. That's a million-dollar question, which everyone is trying to answer at this point of time. Every executive who is looking in CX transformation deeply thinks about this. And one of the things which we definitely believe in is bots will not replace humans. I think that's far from the technology perspective or the experience perspective, and that's not going to go away, right? But I think what's essentially going to happen is this whole marriage of AI plus humans, which we have very proactively talked about over the last 2 years, and we did a campaign of AI plus humans. Right? We feel that there are certain tasks which humans are great at, right? One of that essentially is being very empathetic to people, right? And in this times of distress when COVID hit, one of the things which we all needed was a lot of empathy to understand and be able to help those around us. So I think that's not going to go away. So I think that's what humans are good at. Well, at the same time, one thing which humans are not good at is scalability, right? I think we as humans are quite limited. We have, our input and output is just singular, right? Like I could just talk to one person at a time. Maybe I could chat with 4 people at a time, but that's how scalable I am, right? As a person. And when you look from a customer experience strategy, then you start thinking about the cost models involved and the experience which you're providing, you essentially want to scale that up drastically. So, and AI essentially is good at is good at doing the replicatable task and scaling it out across different types of consumers. So what we feel is that there's a great relationship to be built out between AI coming in to solve a lot of your repetitive problems and aid the human to provide a much better customer experience at the end of the day. And platform like us, we have taken this very personally and have designed experiences where there's a very seamless transition from an AI to a human and human to an AI as well, across chat, voice and email, all 3 kinds of interactions. And the more we think about this, we feel the industry kind of agrees to this kind of approach. We've been speaking to analysts at Gartner, at IDC and others. everyone thinks this is the way to move forward. I think there's never going to be only AI or only humans. I think that's not the right approach. And as we move into the future, what's going to become much more easier is the ability to do cross collaboration. So I think the most unique experience or the most desirable experience would be that you as a consumer could reach out to a brand at any point of time across any channel, and you have your basic authorizations and your first level of query handling done automatically, and very seamlessly all your context is passed to a human whenever there's a specific conversation needed, right? So that's the kind of future which we envision, and if we feel that organizations today should think about creating those kind of processes and those kind of structures to support the new CX, as we are envisioning at this point of
time. Thank you for sharing that. I think that basically that beautifully summarized the essence of we having this conversation, having a perfect collaboration of humans and AI, which is happening and which is going to be happening more in the coming days. So with that, I have to thank you for this time and sharing your insights on CX, on AI, on chatbots. And feel free to add on anything to our audience. Rashid?
Yeah, so it's been great interacting with you, Sarfraz, on this forum, and then with the larger audience through other means of communication. We feel that the whole customer experience is on that cusp of getting disrupted, of something new coming in. Today, when you look at some of the challenges across any organization, the first one which we see is of data being siloed across multiple sub-orgs, systems being which have been existed, and the processes which have been put have been for a world which is very different than what it is today. Right? I think the world has become more digital. Newer channels of engagement have come on board. So I think as an organization and as an enterprise, you all need to start thinking about what is that next frontier of customer experience, and start defining that. And I think forums like yours help us promote and talk about and hear from the partners and a lot of customers of what is something which they are thinking about. And as a group, it helps us just move the markets much forward. So thanks a lot, Sarfaraz, for hosting me on the CX show. I really enjoyed our conversations on this.
It was absolute pleasure having you, Rashid. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in 3 weeks' time in Dubai.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, fantastic. Have a lovely evening ahead, and thank you. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sarfaraz.